The Compendium Podcast, hosted by Leadership Books. In just moments, our host, Michael Stickler, will be joining us with a very special guest. Before we get started, I would like to introduce you to Michael. He's a 4-time best-selling author, philanthropist, publisher, and highly sought-after conference speaker. His passion is to see life-changing books find their audience. Books that will change your life, change your business, and change your soul. And he specializes in helping authors and business owners achieve publishing success. Won't you please welcome Michael Stickler?
Well, thanks, Ron, for the great introduction. Yes, I'm Mike Stickler here at the Compendium Podcast, where we meet with authors and world changers, speakers, and talk about their ideas on how to improve life, improve family, improve our society, and make a little bit of a difference, how you can make a little bit of a difference in our world today. And today on this podcast, we have Randall Bell, I should say Dr. Randall Bell. He's a socio-economist and the CEO of Landmark Research Group. Prior to this, he led a national practice with PricewaterhouseCoopers, which we all know is the largest consulting firm in the world. And he did that just in the area of strategic development, problem-solving skills, and Dr. Bell is well established. He's consulted on the World Trade Center, Flight 93, crash site, the BP oil spill, which we all remember. There's been movies made of that. Hurricane Katrina, the hurricane testing on the Bikini Atoll, and several other tragedies, which I just find fascinating to think about. And then I think just one that really caught my eye that he consulted on and worked on was the O.J. Simpson case. So Dr. Bell's research has taken him to 50 states and 7 continents, and his work has generated billions of dollars for his clients. And he also gets into the media quite a bit. It's pretty impressive. Dr. Bell is profiled on the Wall Street Journal, People Magazine, the New York Times, the Chicago Tribune, the Los Angeles Times, CNN, World News Tonight with Diane Sawyer, and many, many others. He also got his PhD in Human and Organizational Systems from Fielding Graduate University and his MBA from UCLA. Pretty prestigious pedigree, Dr. Bell. Thank you for joining us here from Southern California.
Well, thanks, Michael. And when I try and impress my wife with all that, she says, yeah, just take out the trash.
Hey, I have a wife just like that. She goes, yeah, you put your pants on one leg at a time like everybody does. So your book, fascinating title, Me, We, Do, Be, which come out, help the audience understand what your book is all about and really where the impetus of all your background and research plays into what you have to share with the world.
Well, sure, Michael, and thanks for the invite to share this information because I'm pretty passionate about it. The story kind of began when I was at PricewaterhouseCoopers, and we would hire these consultants to come in and train our people, on time management or negotiation skills. We pay $15,000 a day, that kind of thing, for developing good game plans. And I thought, number one, this is not rocket science. It's not that difficult. Number two, we just don't need it, on the executive level. We need it everywhere, and my kids need it, and this stuff is not taught in school. So that's what kind of got the wheels going on this book. So I'm going to use it as a visual aid. But me is our mindset. I'm breaking it down to develop a good game plan. Me is our mindset. So it's whatever, in terms of habits, in terms of reading, and education development, it's pretty well rounded here with me. We is, who we work with, who we synergize with. That's relationships are really key in all this. You can't do anything successful by yourself. Do is getting the work done. It's taking care of our money, taking care of our health, getting the job done, taking our products and services, whatever that is. And B is what we're becoming. That's where we're looking forward. So I took this whole big complex world we're all in, and used my strategic planning skills to kind of break it down to simple 4 cornerstones of success.
So let's just talk about me for a minute. Are we talking about our identity? Are we talking about our career path? Drill into that just a little bit, because it's a kind of a passion of mine, because identity right now seems to be really, our world is so challenged by who we are and trying to become someone else, and so help the audience with that.
Well, sure. I mean, there's 7 or 8 billion people on the planet. We got to kind of identify who we are, and trying to impress others is probably not the way to go. We got to be authentic to who we are, philosophically, intellectually, and spiritually. So that's kind of how I break it down. Philosophically, is kind of what we stand for. What are our value systems? Who are we really in terms of, Aristotle would call egos, logos, and pathos. Our ethics, our logic, our intellect, all that. Intellectual, education's key, and there's diverse opinions on that today, but I kind of stand by that. And spiritual is, those questions of faith or connection with a higher power or nature. I mean, I keep the conversation there very broad, very open, so that agnostics or atheists feel comfortable in the conversation as well. So sure. Those are really kind of the building blocks of me.
Okay. And does the book approach sexual identity? Does the book approach marriage identity? Does it hit those things, or is that more? Are you more still even more at a 30,000 view from there?
Yeah, I kind of let people fill in the blanks on their own, and I keep it more at the high altitude, big picture, just to give a kind of a framework, a structure. The book is full of what's fascinating is we did a survey in the United States, Canada, Australia, and the United Kingdom. And we surveyed 5,000 people. That's a big survey. Yeah. And we correlated daily habits with different measures of success. So one example that's very famous is making your bed in the morning. If you make your bed in the morning, your multitudes statistically have a higher likelihood of being a millionaire, because it puts our mind into a productive mindset. Right. So the book is full of these little daily habits, really simple, but they're statistically, scientifically correlated with success. How people identify in any way, in terms of their career, their sexuality, in anything. Those are personal decisions people make. This is more of just a big picture overview and some interesting habits to kind of develop in those 4 areas.
I got it. And help us define a little deeper the we.
Well, we is, again, it's people. It's because we got to connect with people. We got to get along with people. There we talk about sociological issues in terms of teamwork. And oftentimes that's teamwork within the family, teamwork at our with our careers, and roles and responsibilities. Influential, that chapter is about expressing ourselves and listening. Listening is critically important. On these disaster sites I go into, like the Bikini Atoll site, that was a $2 billion verdict. I worked on that case for 7 years. Well, it all started with me sitting up and just listening to a guy on a coconut tree log who had lost his daughter from the nuclear tests, and seeing his determination to restore his community the best he could. And that's a communication thing. And I have a lot of examples from my career there. And finally is we as cultural. That's how we spice things up. We're all, I'm convinced God made us diverse for a reason. And so it's just kind of appreciating what everybody brings to the table. And I love, like, for example, foods from all over the world, and I enjoy the cultures from all over the world, the people from all over the world. Everybody brings something of value from around the table.
That's really good. Yeah, I so agree. People don't understand how much, I don't think we stop and realize, maybe is a better way to put it, is how much culture shapes us. And it truly does. And if you travel around the world even a little bit, you start to recognize, what? Americans have a lot together, but we don't have it together too.
Right.
And a lot of it has a lot to do with the way our culture is shaped. And we see our world so much from the lens of the we often, and our identity of the me. That's good. So let's talk about do.
Yeah. Well, do is that's physical, keeping in shape. I go again to the science and daily habits in terms of I don't try and pretend I'm a nutritionist, but I do get quotes from those who are environmental. That's really critically important. You go into an office, you see some desks that are really nice and a bomb went off. An attorney friend of mine called me after he read the book, and he was that one chapter really hit him because his office was just like, it was like made Ferris Bueller's bedroom look tidy. And he went and spent the whole entire weekend cleaning up his office. His secretary came in on Monday and was in total shock, and his productivity just went way up. He was already very successful, but it even went up higher. And then the third thing in do cornerstones is financial money management. I have a degree, background in finance, and I talk about simple principles that guaranteed make build wealth. They're not get rich quick schemes, but they're simple realities of the time value of money and compound interest and how we can build financial security.
Super. And then a final is the B. Help the audience understand that step.
Sure. Well, B is what we're becoming. So that's the developmental, that's picking a target. That's, in other words, that's goal setting. And, there's the old saying, a goal not written is only a wish. And so writing down goals, breaking them apart into their subsets, put them in priority and put them in chronological order as they're accomplished. You can do big things, achieve big goals if you have those skills. Operational is making it happen. That's where we talk about time management and these things that we were paying the $15,000 a day consultants. I took meticulous notes. It's all in the book.
Sure.
It's not horribly complicated, but it makes life more efficient.
Yeah.
And consequentially, that's the last chapter, is creating a legacy, doing something to make the world a little better than we found it.
That's great. So your reader gets a hold of your book, and starts to read each element. How do they apply it? What's the best way? What's the author's insight? If somebody spoke to you as you were handing them the book and they said, how best should I apply this? How would you respond to them?
Well, part of it is a change of attitude and perspective, and part of it's daily habits, like the bed making, thing I was talking about. But like one of the perspectives that's important is one of the questions we did is we found enough people out of the 5,000 that we surveyed to get a lot of multimillionaires and even some billionaires in the mix. And what we found that was really life altering is that if you have enough money to pay your basic bills, there is no correlation between money and happiness after that. So, if you don't have enough money to pay your bills, that's a serious problem, because, that can be very uncomfortable without, worrying where you're going to live or having enough to eat and all the essentials we need. Right. But after that point, and I just finished a case with a billionaire. I went through his entire portfolio and saw his entire lifestyle. And I can tell you, there really is no correlation between, life and happiness as long as you have enough money to pay your bills. That's an attitude adjustment thing.
Well, that's a fascinating, I'm not a billionaire, so that's a fascinating viewpoint that makes a lot of sense. It makes a tremendous amount of sense. So when you were writing the book and putting this together, what did you discover about yourself through this?
Well, I discovered that like anybody else, I don't have it all figured out. I'm not trying to put on the perfect, what's perfection culture, whatever that's called, but we can do things that are practical and relatively simple that really improves the quality, not just of our lives, but the people around us. And I also discovered how much I enjoy. Like I've taken this into executive boardrooms and shared it, and the response has been incredible. I've also taken it into homeless shelters and prisons and jails and shared it, and I've seen remarkable turnarounds there. So the principles really work. And I think I just learned that I really enjoy kind of passing this information along. When you write a book, it's not a money-making exercise as people think it is. It's more a passion. It's more an interest. The revenues from the book come in here, and then all the other costs far exceed it. So but I enjoy the discussion, I guess is what I'm saying.
Right. And what didn't make it in the book that you wished you had got in there?
I've thought about that, and I think for where the audience and the level, the altitude I'm trying to go, I think it's pretty good. I think that there's a number of issues that have come up lately. This book, it doesn't talk about the COVID, the widespread trauma kind of recovery. I had to write another book for that. But this is more getting your feet on the ground, but I think maybe a little more in terms of that. And if there's one thing I wish I talked more about in the book, it would be meditation. Meditation is a Buddhist practice, but the science coming out of Harvard University I've been reading lately is just astronomical. It's taken 2,000 years for science to catch up to that religious practice. But on a secular level, meditation is incredibly healing and beneficial. I wish I had talked more about that in the book.
That's great. So what haven't I asked you about that you would want to make sure your audience hears?
I would just say go to coreiq.com. They publish the book. That's where we have a lot of free life skills, the negotiation, goal setting, the Booker tools. I hand the book out when I go through the drive-through, and then I come back a week later, and the young person there is saying, hey, this has really made an improvement. I've set a goal and I'm going to do this. I'm going to go to junior college or whatever, or trade school. But I guess it's just those kind of things.
All right. That's awesome. And how can they best reach you if they want to know more about you and your consulting practice and the other things that you're doing? How can they reach you?
Well, sure. I'm at my website is drbell.com, and I mentioned CoreIQ. That's our nonprofit that publishes the book. CoreIQ has a lot of videos and things, and I'm easy to reach. I'm very accessible. Just Google Dr. Randall Bell or Randall Bell, and there I am.
All right. Well, you can get Dr. Bell's book, We Do Be, right here on the website that you're viewing this. It's right below, or maybe it's up. It's somewhere on the page, but make sure you click on that so that you can get a copy of the book. Be sure to read it, internalize the things that you've learned from Dr. Bell. I think it's just a fascinating subject matter, just the idea of tragedies and how to apply some of the things he's learned and researched and apply them in your daily life. What a great thing. Randall, thank you so much for being with us here on the Compendium Podcast. We really appreciate having you.
Hey, thanks, Michael. It's been a pleasure.
And if you'd like to hear from another author, you can tune right in to this channel or many other channels that you'll find this podcast. We publish a new podcast every Monday and Wednesday, so look for it. And we'll be interviewing another great author, speaker, influencer that's making a difference in this world and could make a difference in your life. And until next time, may God bless each and every one of you.
Thank you for joining us for today's broadcast. I do hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. And be sure to visit us online at leadershipbooks.store. There you'll find the works of some of the finest thought leaders today. And be sure to tune in here each week to gain even deeper insights from one of those leaders on the Compendium Podcast.